final stage in creating our clay whistle, besides the cleanup, is to add the mouthpiece and the tone holes. Now this is one of the very, very few times when we're going to add wet clay to leather hard clay, and the reason for that is that we have to be able to adjust the mouthpiece so that the hole hits the tone hole at the right angle, and that's something that's very hard to do with leather hard clay. So we're going to start by creating sort of a long, flat bead shape. And we're going to decide where the front, or where we would like to place the mouthpiece on our closed pinch pot form. I think right here is going to be a good spot for it. So I'm going to go ahead and scratch and slip, just like we do anytime we are adding clay forms together. I'm going to do the same thing for the front of this mouthpiece. Scratch and slip. And press that firmly onto the front there, and you can take this opportunity to smooth this mouthpiece in a little bit with your fingers to give it a more graceful join to the form. And we can add more clay and refine this more later in the process as well, but we want to make sure that's seated on there really good, because if it moves at this point, we can use the back of our knife to help blend that as well. If this moves, it's going to alter our tone, and we may not get any tone at all if that moves later after we've lined it up. So we want to go ahead, smooth that in a little bit. Don't worry if it's a little rough right now. Like I said, once its mouthpiece is leather hard, we will go back and smooth that more up later. That gives us the basic shape of our mouthpiece. Now there's a couple things to think about when we're making our clay whistle. I'm going to set this aside for right now. This is the cross section of a cut clay whistle, and what's really important is that our tone hole, which is this hole right here, this is the hole that forms the whistling portion, is right behind the mouthpiece. But what we also want to pay careful attention to is this edge right here is beveled so that there's a sharp edge right here, so that the air passing through the upward diagonal of the hole we create for the mouthpiece hits this sharp edge here and splits the air. That's what will cause the whistling sound. If this air does not hit the edge of this beveled portion, you won't have any whistling sound. You'll notice on this completed one here, there are a couple extra holes in the top. These are called your tone holes. And by covering various of these holes, we create different sounds. These are very similar to the tone holes on a flute, but we'll create those later. 3 holes are generally a good idea. You don't want to do more than 3. You tend to lose the sound if you have too many tone holes, but 3 is a good number. So we're going to go back to our piece, and we're going to go ahead and cut our tone hole up here on the top. Now we don't want this hole to be too large, and we can clean this up a little bit with our fingers now. And sometimes you have to do a little bit of adjusting to get the shape that you want. Now, we're going to go ahead and create the tonal sound portion of the mouthpiece. And we're going to do that not by cutting the hole, but by inserting the knife at an upward angle. And we're just going to kind of wiggle him around a little bit. So we want to get that tone hole at just the right angle. Now sometimes you have to blow in it, check it a little bit. Remember, we have to bevel this top edge here so that it's a sharp sharp edge. I'm going to do that just by cutting the excess away with our knife here. Okay. There we go. Like I said, sometimes it takes, you're making a musical instrument. Musical instruments sometimes take a little working to get them to behave how you would like them to. Yeah, that one has a nice tone. Now, once we have the whistle producing the tone that we would like, we don't want to mess with that mouthpiece too much more. Keep checking the tone as you work to make sure that you haven't disturbed it. And this does take some trial and error. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cut 3 tone holes, and you can vary the size of the hole. The size of the hole can also vary the tone somewhat. I want to make sure that I don't, if I place them where I think the design will be interesting, but also that it won't kill the tone. You see, when I cover up the finger holes, the tone gets lighter and softer. Now, once again, we're going to wrap up our whistle. We're going to allow it to stiffen up again, and then we can go back, clean up any of these little rough spots, sand down anything we need to, refine this lip a little more to give it a little more shape, and then you can turn it into whatever form you want to. You can add appendages, make it look like a creature, give it an abstract design, whatever you choose to make this whistle special to you.